Welcome back to the After Show, guys. Brought to you by the Geeks and Company. My name is Jeff. That right over there is that Valkyrie girl, otherwise known as Editor Megan. We are 2/5, I guess, of the Geeks and Co. And this week we're bringing a brand new After Show to you. If you've been keeping up, we have just finished our in-depth look at The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Season 2. If you are at all interested in that particular show, especially with that season, you can likely find the links down below, or you can simply go to our channel that you found this on, and you can check out the After Show in our playlists. And we thought, what better way to launch into the next one than another show that we both enjoy that we want to talk about. So, Megan, we are going to be talking about the Legend of Vox Machina, and of course, Critical Role. The D&D group are the ones that are voicing it. Are you aware how this show kind of came together at all?
I was going to say, I feel like I've got like a base understanding. I remember you telling me when you first got me into this show for season 1 and 2. Because this was previously just like their D&D campaign, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And I'm pretty sure they had an idea for this animated show, and they put together like a Kickstarter, and it went very, very well. And the first season came out, and the animation style was great, and the voice acting was wonderful. Vox Machina literally means voice machine in Latin. So it's very much playing into the fact that there are voice actors. And don't go looking for an after show for the first 2 seasons, because we didn't do one, but you should watch the first 2 seasons, because this season starts off right where the last season, literally
within the same scene,
within the exact same scene of where the last season dropped off. So the last season did end off on a bit of a cliffhanger. The village elder that they were speaking with at the end of season 2 turns out is a dragon in disguise. Appears to be some kind of dragon double or perhaps triple agent, as we'll see as these 3 episodes. That's right. We're doing 3 episodes for this one. Now, the show is only a half an hour long, so but Amazon Prime is dropping them 3 episodes every week.
Yeah, so you're just getting an hour and a half of content every Thursday. Yeah, so overarching multi-series main quest is, oh no, dragons, we need to kill the dragons. Main quest for this season appears to be getting another one of the vestiges.
Vesticles, as Grog calls them.
Yes, he sure does. The vestiges, which are like magical artifacts that will help them in the killing the dragons main quest.
Yeah, and a lot of season 2 was focused on gathering up these vestments that you saw, or the vestiges. Vex has a bow, and Vax has his cool matron raven suit, and Grog has his really cool fists, and Scalen's got his really cool sword, and apparently all of those are now dog shit.
Yep.
None of those are going to be enough.
The super baddest dragon is a uber powered dragon because he's got a little crystal in his chest. Which
we do see early on in this episode, how that sort of comes to be, and apparently it's the basis for his power. You even see him grow. He gets bigger when he gets the crystal. We should mention, by the way, guys, this is not going to be a detailed breakdown of the entire 90 minutes of this show that we've just watched. Megan and I are just going to point out key bits of the show that we've enjoyed, and probably some key bits that we didn't enjoy. So, but we are assuming you've seen it, so make sure, if you haven't watched them, go watch the 3 episodes now, and then come back and watch us here, because there will, in fact, be spoilers. So, yes, they find out from this dragon in disguise who apparently has some kind of a rot or curse that's slowly eating away and killing her, that there is one final vestment, or at least one more vestment. It sounds like there's one final vestment they have to get. It's just plate armor that can repel dragon fire and has the capacity. It's killed dragons before.
Yeah.
And when we go after it,
it's super helpful.
Yeah. When we go after it, though, we end up meeting an old friend, a Dr. Riley, who, of course, is tied in with Percy. That's right. She of the mechanical hand. I believe she appeared in season 1.
I think season 1. I was going to say a lot of Percy's backstory was.
It was during the Percy backstory, yeah. We do see her, and we discover that she actually has another vestment as well. She has this magical cloak. Yeah, so it's starting to feel, I don't know about you, but it's starting to feel a little bit like
there's so many of them.
we need to keep inventing them so that our heroes have things to keep going after, magical jujas and artifacts that are going to help them defeat and destroy, because clearly the 4 or 5 that they've already gathered are not enough. We have to make sure everybody's outfitted, because in the group there's only one person in the group that currently wears full plate armor.
Yeah.
And that's Pike. And of course Pike doesn't have any kind of investment, so
I mean, armor makes sense at least as one, because everything else has been a weapon so far. So if it was created as like a set, there would be like an armor and then the weapons and the
fair enough. Now what the show is doing that's maybe a little bit different from what a typical D&D campaign would do is not only do you have your main quest part, your main party on the main quest and including side quests as they go, but you're also getting side quests from individual characters.
Yep.
As they try to flesh some of those characters out. One of the key ones in that first episode is Scanlan trying to catch up with his long lost daughter that we met in the previous season.
We sure did. And yeah, I one of my notes that I'm not referring to now, but
you can.
Yeah. Woo! One of them is cool, so they're just on this super dangerous mission that's really important for the future of humanity, and Scanlan's off getting drunk to go and listen to his daughter play music.
Yeah.
Because reasons.
I think we're trying to get some character growth. I think it's probably obvious after the first couple of seasons that Scanlan was probably a very popular character coming out of the first couple of seasons. He's fun, he's horny, he's hilarious. Everybody loves Scanlan, and he's the bard. But in the first 3 episodes, he's not really the bard because they're trying to add all this depth and character development to him, and it's kind of taken away everything that we actually loved about Scanlan in the first place.
It was very, very weird because, yeah, like, I figured that they got through his, like, character arc of putting other people first with the finale of last season because he was the one that, like, got the sword at the end because he put himself out there and, like, sacrificed himself. And I thought we were going to continue on from there, but no, we're just reverting back to
where we were. They keep kind of going back to the well with certain things, as we get to see in this episode as well. We get to see some tension between Vax'ildan and Keyleth, which we've been seeing literally since early in the first season. They just keep teasing it over and over and over again, and it keeps getting very close, and then it keeps not happening from one or the other of them. One or the other one hurts them when they decide they're finally going to do something. So in this, I believe in this first episode, they do share a kiss.
Yep.
And then it all goes downhill from there. Vax has a vision, and he's later on, I believe in the 3rd episode, he's like, we can't be together because of this and that, and she gets upset with him. So, which again, they've done this dance so many times in the last 2 seasons. I don't care anymore. Like, I wish they would just either be done with it or embrace it fully, but stop with this will they, won't they thing for 3 seasons.
They just need the tension, apparently.
Do they, though?
They super don't. I don't know why they're keeping it up. I am glad that they're not going as much that route with Vex and Percy. They're at least...
Which we are going to get to. Although, again, talking about going back to the well, we're now also getting back into kind of Percy and the Pepper Box and his past. Like, we're revisiting...
The demon is now a problem again, even though they killed it. But they didn't actually kill it.
Yes, the demon is the problem again. I guess I'm just hoping for more with some of the other adjacent characters. Like, we saw Pike in the first season in her Crisis of Faith, and they've really done nothing with Pike since then.
No.
You know, she tried to help nurse Grog back to health when he got all skinny and stuff. But I mean, it really wasn't about Pike. It was about Grog at that point. And same with Scanlan. We hadn't really gotten a ton with Scanlan. And again, I appreciate them trying to do something with his daughter, but as the dragon, with the double agent or possibly triple agent dragon, Raishon, I believe is the dragon's name, comes to tell them about how to defeat Thordak and talks about the new piece of vestige, also drops a bit of a bomb that the team then goes to investigate, and we learn that Thordak has been a busy Papa Dragon.
So many baby dragons, all the little eggs.
So many little eggs of baby dragons.
I know it's a bad thing to have all the little dragons because they're going to be hell, but I kind of love seeing him like crawling around and scooping the lava onto the eggs.
I knew. As soon as it was happening, I'm like, oh God. I already know how she's going to feel about this. Like, they're so cute. And then when they're born and they're going to be all like, meh, and you're going to be like, oh, they're so cute. It just means the end of the world. That's all.
It's bad.
No big deal. It's very, very bad.
It's very bad.
And then throughout this, once they've sort of realized that there's definitely what is commonly referred to as a clutch of eggs, the team figures out where they have to go to get this plate, and they end up going to the city that I believe is supposed to be like a take on like Marrakesh or like Morocco, like somewhere where it's very like Indiana Jones, and they go to like almost like a desert oasis type. And of course, there they discover that the plate that was there in the first place was a forgery and was a fake. That's of course,
so they didn't need to spend the entire episode running after Percy's old.
Yes, Dr.
old
Riley
nemesis.
did not have to go after Dr. Riley at all, or the demon, which again, weird throwback that I'm not 100% sure that we needed. Yeah, and they figure out that hey, that's not where we need to be to get the actual plate, because the plate that's there is fake. Yes. During this time, while we're getting the whole like will they or won't we with Vax'ildan and Keyleth, there's a whole lot less will they or won't we with Vixalia and Percy.
They're figuring it out.
Well, I don't know if they're figuring it out per se, but they certainly got the physical aspect down pat.
Making spaces, at least. They're not just going.
Yes. Yeah, they're not. Yeah. Now, mind you, having said that, they're doing all kinds of that after the fact. But when it came times to bump uglies, they were all about that, and we get it is easily. I shouldn't say that. I know there were some scenes in the first couple of seasons with Scanlan in some of the brothels and such that he was at that were even more graphic than this was. They were still very careful not to show specific, naughty bits or whatever, which they didn't do with Scanlan. So it's kind of weird that they're choosing to make sure that you're not seeing all of Percy or all of Vixalia. But they make it very abundantly clear that they had a very choice physical encounter. And then afterwards, Percy immediately gets shoved into the friend zone.
I don't know if that's where it's going, but it was very funny seeing him be so incredibly awkward.
Yes, he was very like, well, what are we now? And she's like, we had one tryst, one fling. Like, why are we even having this conversation? I have tea to make and a fire to build. We're on this terrible quest that we have to... trying to put him off in every way, shape, or form. And by the way, by the end of the third episode, I am skipping ahead a little bit, she basically tells him a tryst is all it's going to be. We're just going to be like super best friends that are just horny for each other. That's all that's going to be. We can't be anything more than that. And poor Percy in that friend zone, he's like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And I was like, oh, that sounds Percy, great. That's not. Yes, he's going to live a tortured existence. So we don't just have one tortured couple in the group. Now there's two tortured couples in the group. There's almost three tortured couples in the group.
Almost
as
three.
Scanlan tries to make a play on Pike when she shows him a little bit of empathy when he's going through some shit. He interprets it the wrong way because he's the horniest little gnome ever. And Pike's like, no.
The thing that made me, I don't know if it was supposed to make me laugh, but jumping back to like Percy and the like that whole scene where they were trying to like mass produce the guns, I was like, oh my god, they're just trying to do like a right to bear arms, but in a fantasy world.
Essentially, a little bit.
If everyone has guns, they'll be safe. And then you just see him being like, it's a terrible idea. Like,
well, and the weird part about it too, not to generalize too much on this, but and during Percy's storyline, it kind of felt the same way. Like the demon was the one that sort of allowed him to channel this building, that allowed him to kind of put this together, this pepper box. And for 3 seasons, it has been the most Percy has been the most ineffectual in a fight of everybody. He's basically just using bullets in a place that's full of magic and swords and vestments and everything else. And he's got like a gun, and not a very good gun at that. So it's interesting that they're still kind of hanging on to this concept that this gun is such a terrible weapon to bring into the world, but it's not doing it. It's highly ineffectual in a group that's already meant to be like just a group of highly ineffectual misfits in the first place. He's the least effectual of that group, right? He brings nothing to it, especially now that he doesn't have the demon. Now he brings even less to it. Now he's just got a gun that he made.
Just a dude.
Thus far has done nothing. I don't think he's actually defeated a single enemy with the gun. So I like Percy, but I guess I don't know where it's all going. Like it's so far like nothing that he's done has been any of any real consequence, unfortunately, for poor Percy. So
maybe he'll figure something out this season.
Maybe he will. Next stop, Hell, apparently.
Yes. Because the actual armor that they're looking for has been hidden away in Hell.
Well, they keep saying hells, by the way. It's not even just, it's like not a hell. It's
no, they're aiming for, I think, like the Dante's Inferno kind of thing of there's like multiple hells to like travel through.
Now, weirdly enough, they know some people that know some people. So a couple of people from the first season, the Council of Tal'Dorei, like Kima and Delora are the ones that show up. And apparently they're a couple, which I had not put together in the previous seasons, but they're a couple. And yes, so they're going to go off to a place called Draconia. Hilariously enough, it's literally dragon in Latin. They go to Draconia to find this very convenient portal to Hell, and they meet up with somebody that used to be with them in Tal'Dorei during the first showdown, I guess, with Thordak. They defeat him. Kima and Allura get to be on the council, and this third individual that is apparently running Draconia does not get to, and I guess she's real bitter about it.
Yeah. And no, it's so funny because the entire way through the beginning half of that interaction, they figured that she was going to be upset because they didn't end up being in a relationship with her as well. Like, she got cut out of their, like, romance, and she's like, no, I don't care about that. I care about the fact that I didn't get to have any of the political power that you guys got after we defeated dragons.
Yeah. After opening up the portal to Hell, and after about half the team goes in there, some of the team has to stay back, in particular, Allura, Kima. Vex decides to stay back, and very awkwardly, our friend zone boy Percy also decides to stay back, so he can just, I guess, just ogle Vex the whole time. And the rest of the crew goes to literal Hell, or one of the hells anyways, which does not look like a pleasant place to be at all.
Nope, sure doesn't.
But they're attacked on the non-Hell side. By the way, nothing really happens in Hell. They get there, they see how awful it is,
and then they start walking.
It's kind of everything else happens in Draconia. That opened the portal for them, that runs Draconia, betrays them. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal, and activates a beacon that draws the dragons in. And in this case, it is the ice dragon that finds them initially and starts going after them. And that's when we get a poignant moment with Percy and with Vexalia. And it seems like there's some kind of weird resolution there, but again, there's no way that's all said and done. It's not like he's just going to turn his feelings off like a switch. It's not going to happen. And obviously, Vex is repressing, and and this is like getting to be a bad episode of Dr. Phil. But the dragon finds them, and shenanigans ensue. But again, no real resolution.
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely still in the setting up all of the problems for all the people, because it's the first 3 episodes of like a 12-episode season. Nothing's going to be resolved for a while.
No. We do see that Kima does get, they create like some sort of an ice shelf sled thing, and Kima gets thrown off, and she's just gone, I guess. I don't know. I would like to point out,
sled was fun.
In 3 episodes, I have not gotten a single Scanlan's hand, and I'm very upset about it because I need it in my life and it's not there. Thank you for everything else. It's been great. We got lots of cool Percy stuff. We got all the Keyleth. By the way, for whatever reason, Keyleth has turned into the potty mouth of the group. Like, she's dropping F-bombs. She's dropping S-bombs. Like, Keyleth is sassy this season. Like, she kind of went from like very innocent, new to the wide world, to now very like, fuck you, we're not helping you. I was like, whoa, what?
Yep. Also, I was gonna say, I don't know if it's just because we just finished doing Rings of Power, but she's giving me the same energy that Elrond gave me at the beginning of this season.
A little bit. She's a little bit kind of stuck on 1 or 2 things that she seems unable to move past, much like our boy Elrond did in that show. He eventually got over it. I'm sure she will too. You and I talked about this briefly before we went to air. The most frustrating part of this show up at this point, now that we're into the 3rd season, is there's just not a lot of like character growth or evolution. It's just the same.
Yeah, and I don't know why they keep reverting into it, because within every like self-contained season, they have character growth, but then whenever a new season starts, everything seems to just revert back to where they started at the beginning.
100% hits the reset button.
Follow through it again.
Absolutely, yes, and it's frustrating. And I know it gives us an arc within an overall arc. The show is very serialized, as we mentioned. The first episode literally picks up where the last episode of season 2 left off, like literally in the same room, in the same scene. But at the same time, yeah, they have this weird reset button where none of the character growth that happened in the previous season matters, and we have to watch them go through this arc again, as we said, with Keyleth and with Vax'ildan, and now we're going to see it with Percy and Vex'ahlia, and even now it looks like Scanlan and maybe Pike, and we're going to see them going through these same. The power was within you all along, and by the end of the third season, it'll be start of the fourth season. They're all right back to where they started from. So yeah, I never put that part quite together, that it seemed like a giant reset button got hit after every season to make you, I don't know, care about their growth over the course of the season again, but they're not carrying it through season to season.
It doesn't feel like there's any growth. It's like, you didn't remember the lesson from last season, you've just reverted to your old behavior.
Yeah. The show's going to get old if it's just this same exact formula over and over and over again, season after season, because it means the story is kind of progressing, but the characters aren't. So it takes away from me giving a shit about the story progress. Because to be fair, at this point, the story's not. They're just trying to fight a dragon. Like the entirety of it is they're just trying to fight a dragon. Like that's the whole story.
Season 1, they got through all of it and they killed a dragon.
Yeah.
Season 2, they got through all of it and they killed another dragon.
Yeah. Season 3, I expect the same thing is going to happen. So we'll cross our fingers and we'll hope something comes of that is worthy of. But I still need my horny, hilarious Scanlan too. Like, don't completely rob me of that. I know I'm complaining that the characters aren't growing or evolving, but I still want them to be those characters that we know and love. I just want them to be able to express those things in new and in different ways. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of the After Show, a brand new episode focusing on Amazon Prime's Legend of Vox Machina. This was episodes 1, 2, 3. Over the next 3 weeks, Amazon Prime is going to keep doing this to us. They're going to drop 3 episodes a week. So there's going to be 4 total of these after shows where we will, for each individual after show, we will be talking about all 3 episodes. Again, it's not going to be a complete recap. It's just going to be stuff from those 3 episodes that Megan and I found fascinating, funny, terrible, or awful, whichever the case is going to be. Like we've said before, if there's anything that we didn't manage to cover in these first 3 episodes that you think we should have talked about, go ahead and put it down in the comments below. If there's anything that you would like us to talk about moving forward as far as the show overall, also go ahead and put that in the comments below. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel yet, please, please, please give that a shot. Costs you nothing, helps us out tremendously, gets more eyeballs on our show. Megan, have you got anything else before we go?
Not a thing. Take us out.
That is the After Show, kids. We will see you next, hopefully Friday, for the next edition of the After Show, The Legend of Vox Machina, Season 3, Episodes 3, 4, and 5. Otherwise, no, Episodes 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6.
Stay geeky, everyone.